Any questions? Any questions? Okay. So this is three-phase model. Similarly, you can do four-phase, five-phase. So what we've done, I have not given you any fixed formula for two-phase, three-phase, because when you will see the slides, it's different, because slides में two-phase का formula दे रखा है, and then you have to mug up the another formula for three-phase, probably the another one for three-phase, and so on. What we've done, we've not done that we need to mug up a formula. The way we've done, we've created the equation or the formula on our own for two-phase, three-phase, which means even if it becomes four-phase, five-phase, we will continue and extrapolate in a similar way. Okay. So any question in this two-phase, three-phase? So if no, so now this is where we are now. So when you say valuation, valuation has three approaches. Has three approaches of valuation. So first is your income approach, market approach, and cost approach. We are currently discussing the income approach. What is the income approach? Income approach is the model where you're valuing something based in the future income. So if you're expecting some future income from the company or from this particular asset, and you're valuing that particular asset or company basis the future income, that then we're following an income approach. Okay. So for example, dividends. If I'm an investor, I'm expecting dividends in future, which is my income from this investment. That is what dividend valuation model that we have completed falls under income approach. So what we've done dividend valuation model. Under this, we have done both the types. First is dividend valuation model, where investor does not sell the share. ठीक है, इसमें हमने टू फेज, तो हमने इसमें कांस्टेंट ग्रोथ, नो ग्रोथ किया. ठीक है, this is what we've done so far.
हेलो
क्या फजलू,
सर, हम लोग का एच मॉडल नहीं होगा?
करेंगे ना. अभी मैंने ये बोल दिया वैल्यूएशन खत्म हो गया.
यस सर.
ऐसा बोला मैंने फजलू, खत्म हो गया?
नो सर, नो सर.
फिर This is what we've done so far. So we've done all these models so far. ठीक है, ऐसे 3 फेज है, आप 4 फेज 5 फेज कर सकते हो, उसमें कोई आई डोंट थिंक एनी चैलेंज है. सो एनी क्वेश्चन ऑन दिस बिफोर मी आई मूव फर्दर? Okay. Now, this dividend valuation model के अंदर जो भी हमने किया है, it has its limitation. और ये आई थिंक लास्ट क्लास में आप लोगों में से किसी ने पूछा भी था. I told you probably this will get addressed in next couple of sessions. So limitation is what if company does not pay any dividend? There are many companies who do not pay any dividend. Then for these companies, as per dividend valuation model, the value will become zero. Because if dividend is zero, then which means my cash flow will become zero in the formula and everything will come out to be zero. Hence, this becomes limitation. To overcome this limitation, rather than using a dividend valuation model, we use DCF, which is discounting cash flows. और DCF मैंने आपको बता दिया था पहले ही क्या होता है, which means instead of dividend we will compute cash flows and will use these cash flows for calculations. This is the reason why when I was deriving those equations for the valuation, I was using CF, because going forward we will work on the CF, not on the dividend. Any question on this limitation, and what is the resolution for this limitation? Okay. And we will, under income approach, these are the two type of cash flows that we will compute. One is free cash flow to firm, FCFF, and second type is free cash flow to equity, FCFE. So one is free cash flow to firm and another is free cash flow to equity. I will explain what is this, what are these, but so we will be moving. So we will do two types of cash flows, FCFF, FCFE. Now what is FCFF and what is FCFE? Just a minute. Yeah. So how do we compute these FCFF and FCFEs? Now, before I explain how do you compute this FCFF and FCFE, first let's understand what is FCFF and FCFE. FCF FCFF is free cash flows available for entire firm. And when I say firm में कौन कौन होता है? Debt holders and equity holders. Whereas FCFE is free cash flows for equity holders. That is, from FCFF, we remove payments to debt holders. Any question in the section which is in red text?
In this FCFE, we are removing this debt schedule basically.
Yeah, so any payment which is due, which is either made or yet to be made to the debt holders, I would knock that off from FCFF to go towards FCFE.
If the company is debt free, then FCFF and FCFE is
Then there is no
the
difference.
same.
Correct. There is no difference because if the company doesn't have any debt, then FCFF and FCFE will become same mathematically as well as conceptually. Okay, now how do we compute this FCFF and FCFE? Now, we use this first formula. Okay. Now, how do we compute cash flow? Cash flow is PAT plus non-cash charges minus non-cash revenue. This we have done during cash flow statements. Non-cash charges are non-cash expenses, which is like depreciation. Non-cash revenue is like an appreciation. Any doubt in this point? This you've done at length in cash flow statement. So how do we compute cash flows? Any doubt in this first step? Okay. Then next step, cash flow to firm. So cash flow to firm is this. Sorry. Is cash flow plus interest into 1 minus T. देखिए, when I say cash flow to the firm, फर्म में दो लोग इन्वॉल्व है, इक्विटी and debt holders. Because we have started our computation from PAT में से interest already minus हो चुका है. That is why I need to add back the interest payment which is being made to the debt holders. Because we are calculating cash flow to the firm. What does that mean? This is the cash flow from which debt holders will receive the payment. Hence, any payment which is being made to them, we need to include that back. Any doubt in step 2?
सर स्टेप 1 में एनसीआर क्या है?
Non-cash revenue.
नॉन कैश रेवेन्यू जैसे सर?
Non-cash charge क्या होता है?
नॉन डिप्रेसिएशन एंड अमोर्टाइजेशन.
यहाँ पे एप्रिसिएशन हो गया.
यस सर. एंड एनसीआर?
एनसीआर ही बता रहा हूँ, नॉन कैश रेवेन्यू, एप्रिसिएशन, और नॉन कैश चार्जेस डेप्रिसिएशन.
ओके सर.
If you are not fair valuation of those assets where we are saying that appreciation is there, then this will be zero.
हाँ, अगर एप्रिसिएशन नहीं है
Do we have to care, means while going for an valuation, do we have to, for this fixed assets or whatever we are looking for an appreciation, if land is appreciated, do we have to go for a fair valuation also?
No.
To
if your balance sheet, you don't have to do anything different from what is already there in balance sheet. If in your balance sheet you have a depreciation and appreciation, you include that. If in your balance sheet you do not have appreciation and you only have depreciation, include only depreciation.
And while valuation, this will be an assumption to be made.
What assumption to be made?
In the projections and all.
Which assumption? For depreciation?
Hey, this appreciation. Then why we have included this NCR?
हटा देते हैं. So if you see the formula in the slide, you don't have NCR. You only have depreciation. And this is what you will find in 90% of the books. But we keep NCR because we've in some transactions.
That's what I want to ask, that we have to compare the last year's balance sheet to which
comparison
asset class.
No comparison for the company for which you are doing valuation. Let's assume you are doing valuation for company ABC Limited. The latest balance sheet. So, for example, we are at the beginning of 2021. Let's assume the company has issued their audited results for the year ending 2020. Then I will look at that balance sheet. In that balance sheet, under fixed asset, if I have depreciation, I will take that depreciation as NCC, non-cash charge. If company in their balance sheet has charged any appreciation, if any, generally you will not see that. Most of the time you will not see appreciation. If the company has not charged any appreciation in their financial statement, then this NCR will be zero for you.
No, means, and if they are charging appreciation, then how I will able to know when you are comparing it from the last year to this year?
No. If they charge appreciation, the way the depreciation is being mentioned separately,
it will be mentioned as an separate line item.
Correct.
The balance sheet.
Correct. Correct. Very similar to depreciation.
Okay.
For example, you have
Because
gross block, then say less depreciation and net block. ऐसे होता है ना, वैसे ही appreciation के लिए भी
yes,
होगा अगर होगा तो. 99% होता नहीं है वो, बहुत रेयर और सिनेरियोज में वो आता है. Anything in these first two points, cash flow and cash flow to the firm?
What is T in 1 minus T?
Tax rate. ये हमने लास्ट क्लास में किया था ना, पोस्ट टैक्स वाला. अगर उसी को फॉर्मूला को ध्यान से देखोगे तो प्री टैक्स इनटू 1 माइनस टी, वही फॉर्मूला है. इंटरेस्ट is the interest amount and T is your tax rate.
interest paid.
Interest paid. And this interest
Because
paid
we
is in the P&L. P&L में जो interest paid amount आती है.
Okay, because we are calculating this cash flow as all the three components:
As
financing, investment. We are talking about only a CF for operation.
No. We are calculating net cash flow, which means what you said
All
earlier.
three.
Yeah. Component, correct. Net of all three.
Net of all three. Then this is interest paid because you can get the interest also.
Correct. नहीं, interest received तो already included है ना दीपक.
Okay.
तो जो
okay.
PAT, जो मैंने PAT, जो first step लिया है मैंने,
other incomes में included है. ठीक है. Okay.
Correct. Other incomes में included है, which in turn is included in PAT. But जो interest paid है वो PAT में से deduct हो गया, इसलिए मुझे add back करना पड़ रहा है.
Okay. ठीक है.
हेलो
Yeah.
सर, ये कैश फ्लो कौन सा है? डिविडेंड कैश फ्लो है ये कैश फ्लो जो फर्स्ट स्टेप लिख रखा है, ये कैश फ्लो इंस्टेड ऑफ क्या है?
कैश फ्लो स्टेटमेंट में जो कैश फ्लो आता है वो है.
वो है या फिर ये डिविडेंड का ये फॉर्मूला दे रखा था?
अब डिविडेंड भूल जाओ, देयर इज नो कांसेप्ट ऑफ डिविडेंड हियर. डिविडेंड वैल्यूएशन मॉडल हमने खत्म कर दिया.
ओके.
ये in this equation of cash flow there is no linkage of dividend. Whether companies pay dividend, whether company do not pay dividend, I'm least bothered, because now I'm calculating the value of the company not on the dividend. I'm calculating the value of the company basis their cash flow. So हमने कैश फ्लो स्टेटमेंट के जो सेशंस करे थे वो एक बार रिवाइज कर लेना, इनकेस अगर आपको याद नहीं आया.
ओके सर.
Anything else in this first two steps? Okay. Then third is FCFF. Okay, so जो मैंने फर्स्ट F ऐड किया that is free. यहाँ मैंने free ऐड किया, यहाँ मैंने firm ऐड किया, तो यहाँ से स्टार्ट किया कैश फ्लो से. I've deliberately broken this entire equation into 3 steps so you know each step rather than just giving a final formula. And then this is CFF. Now what do you mean by free? What do you mean by free? Free here means after taking care of long-term capital requirement and short-term capital requirement. So what does this mean? Suppose the company has 100 rupees as cash flow, but company needs 5 rupees for the expansion of the business, which means out of 100 rupees I have to remove that 5 rupees because I have to keep that 5 rupees for the expansion of the business. So 100 minus 5, 95, and I need 2 rupees for, let's assume, short-term capital requirement for working capital. So out of 100 rupees I will remove 5 rupees, which is my long-term capital requirement, 2 rupees, which is my short-term capital requirement, which means this 93 is the cash flow which is freely available for the company to spend. And FCFF is L minus और प्लस LTCR लॉन्ग टर्म कैपिटल रिक्वायरमेंट अगेन माइनस और प्लस STCR शॉर्ट टर्म कैपिटल रिक्वायरमेंट. Any doubt in third step?
सर ये LTCR और STCR को फिर से समझा देना.
Any other doubt?
This STCR is short term to the extent of 1 year. So what?
Yeah.
But this, are we putting a capex to that short term? Because that will be an operational
Capex is an
expense.
LTCR. Capex is an LTCR. Anything which is other than Capex is ST. So short में Capex ये
Because
है.
that is already included in the PAT, no? Operational expenses. Or what?
No. So LTCR is your Capex and STCR is your working capital. Working capital operating expense नहीं है दीपक.
Okay, change in working capital you want to say?
Yeah.
बट जब हम कैश फ्लो निकालेंगे नॉन कैश चार्जेस में तो चेंज इन वर्किंग कैपिटल ऑलरेडी इंक्लूडेड कर लेंगे हम उसको.
हाँ, तो अगर वहां ले लिया तो यहाँ दोबारा लेने की जरूरत नहीं है. मैंने जो कैश फ्लो लिया उससे पहले के स्टेप का लिया है ना. अगर आप देखोगे यहाँ पे
prior year and now we are adding back non cash charges for this year. But for this year जो नॉन कैश चार्जेस हैं, फॉर एग्जांपल चेंज इन इन्वेंटरी एंड ऑल दैट, जो वर्किंग कैपिटल चेंज है वो तो हमने इसमें इंक्लूड कर लिया ना नॉन कैश चार्जेस.
नहीं किया इसलिए कर रहा हूँ. अगर पहले कर लिया तो ये छोड़ दो. एक बार इंक्लूड करना है, आप पहले कर लो या बाद में कर लो, एक ही बात है.
अरे ये चेंज इन वर्किंग कैपिटल है ना सर.
एक मिनट रुक जाओ दीपक. मैंने यहाँ फर्स्ट सेकंड थर्ड में फर्स्ट स्टेप और सेकंड स्टेप में कहीं पे भी चेंज इन वर्किंग कैपिटल इंक्लूड किया है? Deepak, have I included?
Yes.
Where? In the first or second step, have I on this screen, first and second step, have I included change in working capital?
For example, is non-cash charges में what you have done?
Non-cash charge में सिर्फ depreciation है.
Only depreciation.
Of course. Change in working capital non-cash charge में थोड़ा आता है. So because I have not included change in working capital neither in first or neither in second step, that is why I'm including in the third step. If you have already included change in working capital in the first or second step, of course, don't include them in third step. The underlying principle is you need to adjust once.
For example, if cash flow, balance sheet and projection of P&L and projection of cash flow is also being given to you, then more or less they've already included this working capital.
So will not include
capital
that.
requirement. Okay.
If you are already given a projected net cash flow from your cash flow statement, then don't include this again. If you're not given and you're calculating, then you will follow this formula. Same logic. For example, जैसे मैंने interest add किया, अगर मैं इस formula को PAT से ना start करके, if I would have started this with I would have started this with EBIT. अब मैं इंटरेस्ट दोबारा ऐड नहीं करता ना. EBIT में ऑलरेडी इंटरेस्ट ऐड हुआ हुआ ही है, तो वो एडजस्टमेंट तो मैथमेटिकली आपको देखनी पड़ेगी कि हमने जो फॉर्मूला क्रिएट करा है whether that item needs to be added or it is already being added in the given value. If already being added in the given value, probably will not add this again. Yeah, Fazlur.
नहीं सर, मैं वही कह रहा था कि चेंज इन वर्किंग कैपिटल को पहले कहाँ इंक्लूड किया है? नहीं किया।
Correct. We have not included. So which means the final equation is that FCFF this is the formula for FCFF, free cash flow to form PAT plus non-cash charge minus non-cash revenue plus interest into 1 minus T plus minus change in long-term capital requirement plus minus change in short-term capital requirement. Any questions? Just remember ये जो LTCR और STCR है ये change है. Last time, any question in this equation? Any questions? So this is what we've done. The first equation, FCFF is PAT plus depreciation. मैंने depreciation को non cash charge लिखा plus interest into 1 minus T minus capex. capex को मैंने आपका long term capital requirement लिखा है and then changes in net working capital जिसको मैंने change in STCR लिखा है. And as I mentioned earlier, this formula does not acknowledge the fact that you can have the situation where you have NCR, which is non-cash revenue. Hence, in the formula that I have created, we have NCR as well. Okay. So this is the calculation for FCFF. Any questions? Okay. If no, we'll move to now FCFE. FCFE is free cash flow to equity. Now, from FCFF, we need to deduct payments to debt holders to get FCFE. That's what we've agreed. डेट होल्डर्स को मैं क्या क्या पेमेंट करता हूँ? इंटरेस्ट पे करता हूँ और प्रिंसिपल जो रीपेमेंट होती हैं, correct? These are the two things which I pay to my debt holders. So FCF is equal to FCFF minus interest minus debt repayment. Any question? Any doubt in FCFE? Okay, I take that as no. Now, one important point that we need to understand. So, ये तो हो गया debt repayment पे. Just focus for 5 minutes, please. In case we means company, in case company raise any new loan. Suppose we are raising this new loan in Jan 2020 and first repayment will happen in Jan 21. Now, please tell me that for 2020, this new loan that we have raised, ये cash flow किसके पास जाएगा? Will this belong to equity for 2020? Hence,
Sir, it is not visible in the screen.
now can you see my screen?
Yes.
Can you see the text which is in red? Okay, see this text which is in red. In case company raise any new loan in Jan 21 and the first repayment for this loan will happen in Jan 21. So this new loan which company has raised in the year 2020, for the year 2020, ये पैसा किसके पास रहेगा? ये पैसा कौन यूज करेगा? ये किसको बिलोंग करेगा? ये इक्विटी होल्डर्स को बिलोंग करेगा? Because for year 2020, equity holders would be able to decide the utilization of these funds. Hence, इसको मैं FCFE में ऐड कर रहा हूँ. New loan raised. Hence, this is a equation for FCFE. Without the पूछे.
Decision making authority की वजह से we are adding the any new loan raised.
It's not decision making authority. So Parul, in 2020 when the company लक्ष्मी 100 रुपीज रेज किया, 100 रुपीज किसके पास अवेलेबल होगा? इसका जो बेनिफिट है वो किसको मिलेगा? सिर्फ इक्विटी होल्डर्स को मिलेगा?
इक्विटी होल्डर्स मतलब कंपनी ने अपने ऑपरेशंस के लिए लोन रेज किया होगा ना?
हाँ, उसका बेनिफिट किसको मिलेगा? ये कैश फ्लोस किसके हाथ में जाएगा? इक्विटी होल्डर्स के पास जाएगा ना, फॉर देम टू डिसाइड इसका क्या करना है। उनके पास अवेलेबल है ना ये पैसा टू डिसाइड कहाँ पे डिप्लॉय करना है।
यस,
तो इसलिए हम ऐड बैक कर रहे हैं। लेट्स से आपने 100 रुपीज रेज किया, अब नेक्स्ट ईयर 2021 में आप 100 रुपीज में से आप 5 रुपीज रीपेमेंट कर देता हूँ, फिर माइनस कर देंगे कि उतना पैसा कम होता जा रहा है, वो डेट रीपेमेंट में आ जाएगा फिर से,
वो तो
और फिर से उसका इंटरेस्ट पे करोगे तो फिर इंटरेस्ट कॉलम में आ जाएगा वो। Any questions in this? So this is your equation for FCFE. FCFE is equal to FCFF plus new loan raise minus debt repayment minus interest expense. And I have already answered this question. What happens to the interest received? This we have discussed when Deepak raised that question. This interest received is already part of your PAT, so we don't need to do anything with this. So any doubt in this equation, which is FCFF highlighted in yellow and FCFE, which is highlighted in orange? Please remember, I have deliberately not just showed a view formula and then say, okay, this is the formula. We've derived these formulas step by step. So please, I would prefer or advise you to try and get into that understanding of how to derive both these equations rather than just bunking up the formula. Last time, any questions for FCFE and FCFF?
हेलो
Yeah.
सर, डेट टू एसेट रेशियो क्या होता है? उसके थ्रू भी निकाला गया है एफसीएफई को।
Sorry, debtors?
डेट टू एसेट रेशियो ये क्या होता है? इसके थ्रू भी फॉर्मूला निकाला गया है एफसीएफई का।
नहीं, डेट टू एसेट का यहाँ पे कोई लेना देना नहीं है।
कैसे?
Anything else in FCFE?
Sure. Oh, yeah.
Are we good with this? Okay. Now we've done cost of equity, we've done cost of debt, and we have done WACC. Now देखो ध्यान से, cost of equity. So when you will use dividends, or FCFE, your discount rate will be KE, cost of equity, because सब कुछ equity का calculation कर रहे हैं हम लोग. Dividend is about equity shareholders. FCFE is about equity shareholders. If you're using dividend and FCFE as your cash flow, any of these, then your discount rate will always be cost of equity. If you are using FCFF, then your discount rate will be WACC, weighted average cost of capital, because FCFE is about the total firm and WACC is also about total firm, total capital. So is this clear? This is very important concept that you pick and choose. So I will tell you when to use FCFE and when to use FCFF. But if we use FCFE, then my discount rate has to be cost of equity. If we use FCFF, our discount rate has to be WACC. And the logic is pretty simple, that FCFE is about equity, hence my discount rate should be about equity, only about equity. FCFF is both for FCFF is for the firm, which means for both debt and equity. Hence, my discounting rate should be for both, which is WACC, which is about the total capital. Any questions? Last time, any question in the discount rate concept, that how we will choose which discount rate should be applied for which type of cash flow? FCFE, it's cost of equity. FCFF is WACC. Okay. So we'll stop here, and for the remaining part we'll continue in the next class. Last time before we close for the day, any questions? Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. 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 So in case no more questions, so we'll call this close and we'll connect tomorrow. Okay. Thanks. Bye.